Hello, we are so excited to bring you both the creators of the incredible title, We Live, Roy and Inaki Miranda. Hello, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thanks for having us.
Absolute pleasure, and especially with a huge time difference and me messing up the time zone. So I appreciate you taking the time today. So We Live is a huge hit. I don't know if you know this. How has this felt for you for this title to be so huge and just everybody's nonstop talking about it?
Yeah, I think we just can't believe it, really. I mean, Roy and I are speaking together all the time about this, and we still don't know where we stand because it's overwhelming for us, really. It's really fantastic. I mean, it's our first comic, so we couldn't have asked for nothing better than this.
Yeah, this is your first comic, and obviously your first comic with us. So how has it been for you going into the comic book world, and what are some things that you didn't expect to come out of this?
Well, I mean, I've been working in the comic industry as an artist for maybe 15 years already in the US market. And this is the first time that I see what's out there. I mean, it marked like a point where my career changed. Like I started to see reaction from fans and reaction from stores, something that I hadn't seen before. Even I had, working there for 15 years. So that makes me see how different and important this book meant for both of us. ¿Sí quieres decir algo?
No, que pues que creíamos mucho en We Live, y conseguir transmitir esa fe en el cómic, más allá de que no sabíamos el impacto, pero sí que creíamos mucho en la obra.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he's saying that we believed a lot in We Live since the start, since we started creating it and we pitched it to you guys. And even though we didn't know what was going to happen in the fan side and the reader side and stores, we believed a lot on the book. That's something that it was really something that, I don't know, jump of faith, but we were really excited even before it hit the stores.
Yeah, so and this is yeah, absolutely. And this is just such a beautiful, heart-wrenching story that's ending up about hope and family, and it obviously transcends language and everything else. So for you guys being, brothers and working on this together, like tell us a little bit about that and just bringing this across, language barriers and everything else of this beautiful story.
Yeah, I think being in a family with, we're 4 siblings, and we traveled a lot from Argentina. We lived some years in the United States, then in Spain. It made us, we're very together as a family. And at the same time, appreciate things like migration or, traveling the world to look for a better life and all those things that are in the backdrop of We Live. And I think also it made us feel more about how important it is to what would happen, to a child or a family that has to live through, so heart-wrenching moments like a refugee family. So I think that when you speak about from the heart, what you can imagine how tragic something like that would make, feel for you or your brother or your sister. And that makes it more authentic, I think, what you want to tell and how you tell it. So that was at the heart that We Live. So I think that's why it brought that kind of emotions to the characters and to the readers.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear from Roy. I know that we have to do a little bit of a translation for him, but I would love to hear how that he was able to balance the just heart-wrenching and very sad moments and yet keep this a story about hope.
Okay. Cómo fuimos capaces de equilibrar lo que es los momentos tan emocionales y tan trágicos con la esperanza.
Supongo que
hard question for him.
Realmente lo que hicimos fue caminar con los personajes y ver en qué momento necesitamos no perderla. O sea, no sé, era Es difícil contestarlo, pero creo que el camino que hacían los personajes nosotros lo hacíamos con eso mientras escribíamos. Sabíamos a dónde queríamos llegar, lo que iba pasando, pero había momentos en los que necesitábamos parar, o sea, porque estábamos sintiendo que el personaje se nos iba.
Yeah, and he's saying that was all about walking along with the characters, because we were feeling what they were feeling along the way in their path, and sometimes we like got to a place where it was also tough for us because we felt that the character could break, you know. So that's when you stop and bring the hope to be able to continue with the character.
Y es un poco la vida. O sea,
yeah, vida... that's life, really. And that, I mean, the parallelism with life is there, because everybody has had those moments where you think you're going deep in a tunnel, and suddenly you see light. And it depends on what you have in your heart, and mainly who are you fighting for. Sometimes, like in the comic, if you have like something that pushes you forward, because you can't have the luxury of falling. That's what Tala has on her shoulders. She can't fall because she knows what happens if she falls or Toto falls. So it's life.
Yeah, and just so beautifully done, where there are moments that there's like a little bit of humor and a little bit of just like love and beauty within this very like realistic world, including one thing I very much like that you guys did. Most kind of post-apocalyptic stories, there's only one thing that went wrong. And I thought it was a really great setup for this world that you had several things. It wasn't just, the environment fighting against it. It wasn't just this zombie virus. It was also war and everything else. I don't know if you want to speak a little bit on that, on why that was so important to start with for the story.
Yeah, I mean, there is a reason for what happened, and we're going to, and write about that in the next season. But the let's say the backstage of what we're really telling is we wanted to bring all the realistic tragedies of our world, and everything that you can read in the comic. It's something that it's there. I mean, there are very bad human beings in the world, and there's tragedies from Mother Nature happening, and things that will happen. I mean, if we don't correct the climate change. So it's I think it was putting all together all the human tragedies that we feel humans have to face or endure, and because we are bringing it on ourselves as a race. I think there's good people and bad people in the world, and the good people have to endure what other people are doing. So everything that happens to Tala and Toto in that world, all the tragedies, war, envy, everything that you can read there, obsessions, are the tragedies of the human condition. So
yeah, and it's just so beautifully woven, both the artwork and obviously with the storyline. So one more question for Roy, specifically about the translation, since I know Anaki, you were there to help translate, but were there ever times for Roy that just the translation just didn't work? Because there's so much poetic writing in this as well. If there was ever a time that just doesn't hit the same in English.
Dices que hay tantos escritos, digamos, poéticos, textos poéticos en el cómic, que si hay algún momento donde la traducción falló o no estuvo a la altura de lo que queríamos decir. Claro, he doesn't know because he can't tell. But I can answer for him that one, then you can answer another one. No, I think with AfterShock...
Bueno, sí, hay algo importante, que esos textos están pensados para una libre interpretación del lector. O sea, que es verdad que el castellano tiene tiene muchas más palabras, muchos más sinónimos y acepciones, pero no es tanto el problema de traducción, sino que la gente interprete que esos textos están pensados para una libre interpretación.
Yeah, I think that those texts that are more poetic that you can find in the comic are meant for a more free interpretation of the words. So it wasn't more than something like that the English reader couldn't translate those texts, but that you have to read them with an open mind, because they're more metaphoric than you can't look for something specific in those texts. You have to let your mind fly for a bit. So I think on the other side, AfterShock, Mike Martz and Christina Harrington did their job of assuring that the English was correct. I mean, they did a lot of work on our writing, so to make sure everything's okay. So thanks to them for that.
Yeah, and on the artwork side of this is just such a visceral and very brightly colored story, especially with the type of beasts and transformations that happen within the animal kingdom. Where did you pull all of that incredible ideas from? Like, was there anything specific that inspired you, or was it pulling from a lot of your own experience?
I think in the art part, I'm very clear from the beginning that I wanted something very eclectic, where a little bit of everything affects a little bit of everything. I mean, like if you have a moment of tragedy in the comic, it's been lifted by the colors of the comic at the same time. So it looks for a balance where it's all about enjoying the experience, even if something really tragic is happening. It's maintaining like a net where you feel like you're enjoying the experience. So that the colors and the art, I think the part that they bring is that you can feel life through the characters because they're cartoony. You can play with the expressions and I think in better ways than if it was only realistic, So that's what I spoke with a lot with Eva de la Cruz, the colorist, about that we wanted to do a journey with the colors, where you can start very colorful, and as the issues and the train goes ahead, it also speaks about how Ototo is breaking inside. His colorful world is beginning to to desaturate and get into the reality of the megalopolis, where it's a place of humans.
Yeah, and speaking of working with your colorist as well, is there any crossover in your workflow? Like when you're working together with the script, does the writer have any input on the page layout or the character design? Like, how much did you guys because this is your project together, as most of the comics just say, the Miranda Brothers. So just how did you guys be able to balance that, and how did that kind of work for you guys on a day-to-day basis?
Sí que hay, ¿no?
Sí, que como...
Sí. O sea, que lo bueno que tenemos es que ir escribiendo, pero para resolver incluso cosas de guión, resolver la parte de imagen. Yo sé que tengamos mucho más claro cómo avanza y seamos más rápidos, pero no hay o sea, lo bueno es que de lo que estamos escribiendo a lo que se va a dibujar no está muy lejos nunca.
Claro. Yeah, and that we're very, we go every morning to the gym together, and so we're speaking a lot of everything. So, and there's nothing that I'm going to translate my interpretation of what he said. And I can't remember exactly the words now, but because we have so much bond when we write, and we also are speaking about the image, everything, and even if something is written, we can always change it while I'm drawing it, because he's seeing everything that I do every day. So it's really organic. That the only thing that is important to us is the finished product, that it transmits what we want to transmit, So, for example, there was I think it was issue 4. Yeah, issue 4. There's a big spread, 2-page spread of the characters walking in the night, and in our first,
issue 3,
issue 4, issue 3. Yeah, issue 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. And that was added at the end of the book because we felt that moment needed to breathe more. So it's always in constant change if we want to. I mean, yeah, we're both in the same page in that.
In issue 3, that was another place that you had a QR code for the music that was done by Mario Gonzo Lorente.
Yes.
And throughout the whole storyline, you had these songs written out, and for the first time I was able to listen to all of them with the trade paperback, and just the music and even the artwork that's part of these YouTube videos are just so beautiful, and it really like adds to the story. Can you tell us a little bit about you working with Mario and how that kind of came to be?
Yeah, contestar vos.
No, preguntas ya lo así.
No. Well, it's two musicians. It's Mario Gonzo Lorente and El Hombre Viento. Also
yes,
both composers, and Hombre Viento is the singer. And it really just happened very organically because we were doing it, from the cover of issue 1. When I laid it out, I did it on layers so we can do an animation later on, like a parallax animation where you can zoom in. And we thought it would be cool to put music to this teaser. So Roy, I mean, he's a hip hop artist and he has a lot of friends in the music industry. So he said, "Okay, leave it to me." And he called his friends. He first called Mario, and Mario did a guitar composition for that 40-second teaser, and he sent it. It was perfect, what we were looking for. And then I was left thinking, wow, wouldn't it be cool to do a whole soundtrack for the book? But I just didn't want to bust Roy's balls anymore, so I just didn't say anything. And the next day he called me and saying, "I have an idea, a cool idea. Why don't we do a whole soundtrack for the book?" So, and I said yes. And because he had heard a song from the other friend, El Hombre Viento, that was like perfect too for the book. And so we just heard that song and said, "This is perfect. Let's do it." And the funny side that he didn't give us that song. He never gave us that song for the book.
That's so funny. The one song that inspired it all. He's like, "No, can't have that one." No.
But so they got together, and with Roy overseeing it, they did the whole the songs for each number, each issue. So it was great. It was really a luxury to have, because what I'm learning from outside is that the comics industry is very different from the music industry, legally in every sense. So it's very hard to put those two worlds together in a product. And I mean, has been hard headaches for Roy. But we did it. So, and we're very happy with it. And I know fans are also happy with that. So it's an amazing thing to do.
Yeah, it absolutely adds a whole new level to it. That's just absolutely gorgeous. And even more, just you feel like you're surrounded by this world. So before we let you go, is there anything you can tell us about the next arc of We Live? Because that'll be coming out epic. Well, I tried, guys. I'm sorry.
I can say something, I guess. Yeah, we can say that it's going to be very, very, very unexpected. I mean, we laid it out, and the ending is going to be mind-blowing. But really, I'm not just saying it. I mean, the first issue had a mind-blowing ending, the first arc, sorry. And this is going to be up there too. So
yeah, it absolutely took me off guard, and I work here, so I should have known when it was coming. But thank you guys so very much. Where can everybody follow you both on social media?
They can find me on I'm Joyart, Joii Art, in Instagram. I think that's and Inaki Miranda in Twitter.
And I, Roy Leflaco, R-O, ¿cómo se diría? Y, L-E-F-L-A-C-O on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much, not only for this incredible story, but for joining us today so we can tell everybody about it. So thank you again, and we cannot wait for the next arc of We Live.
Thank you. And thanks to AfterShock, I have to say that. Thanks to AfterShock for trusting on this story, because it exists because they allowed it. So thank you.
Just so good. Thank you guys so much.